Hi everybody, Jimmy DeYoung here. Welcome to Prophecy Today video. Our focus today is going to be on the economic crisis in Europe and how it is affecting the rest of the world. The rest of the world already under an economic crisis. Our broadcast partner who focuses on Europe is Dr. Rob Congdon, who's on top of this growing problem. We'll get to him in just a moment. But first, I asked Colonel Bob Maginnis, another broadcast partner. He's in Washington, D.C., and he looks at geopolitical activities for us. I wanted to know if the economic crisis in Europe and the one that is spreading around the world, does it affect the geopolitical activities of this world?
It certainly affects the stock markets, and we've seen that in the last few days. Yes, it does. Economic stability, as the President said at West Point, is part of trying to bring stability to the world. We need to have a predictable economies, and the stock market is reflective of the lack of confidence that we have in the geopolitical world today, whether it be oil prices or the threat posed by Iran, North Korea, and others. So it's very important that we try to get our house in order. Otherwise, our markets will be in a very low hover, if not just a turbulent situation like we're seeing today.
Colonel Bob Maginnis, looking at what's happening politically in our world from his vantage point in Washington, D.C. Well, Rob Congdon is our man, as I said, that looks at the European Union for us. Rob, let me ask you right straight. Is this that's happening, the fall of the euro, some people say that the euro as we knew it is already dead, and the eurozone, are they both about to blow up and cause a major problem?
Well, it certainly is a crucial time in the European Union and in those 16 countries that are using the euro, but even more so it's spreading to the whole world. So yes, it is significant to look at. We need to remember the EU has come through equally difficult times in its past history. They have always survived. If you look for patterns, and of course everything can change today. We live in a world where you can't really predict what is coming tomorrow. But if you look at the past history of the patterns, whenever a crisis has occurred at the EU, it looked like it was about to collapse, and suddenly it turned around and became stronger than it was before the crisis. So based on patterns, if you will, of history, I would say we're going to go through a very rough time for the EU and I believe for the whole world economically, but they could wind up very powerful after this is all worked through, if you will.
Wow, it's going to come through some bumpy times, but the European Union will be even more powerful. Very interesting comment. Well, let me ask you another question, Rob. The meeting that took place in Brussels over the weekend between the financial leaders, the officials in the Eurozone, are they looking forward to trying to come out of this crisis with a financial structure in Europe that could be applicable for the entire world?
I think that's exactly where they're headed. We here in the U.S., those in Europe are also talking about tighter regulations of finances and investing, stocks and bonds, if you will. And what these finance ministers are really suggesting is that they move it up to the entire EU level instead of the individual countries. When those rules come, and I've seen it in Britain, the shape of a banana is controlled by the bureaucracy, but they want to control the finances, and in doing that, basically redistribute wealth, but also to assure that things like Greece and Spain and Portugal can't cause further troubles to the other nations. So look for very suggestions for reform. That's their favorite word, but it'll be more regulations. And anyone who has been to Luxembourg has seen the bureaucracy that governs the EU, and as you drive, it goes on for block after block after block. It's regulation that is the power the EU uses, and finance is where they're headed.
That's exactly what the Antichrist will use as well, a structure worldwide. I want to talk about what Rob Congdon and I discussed. We talked about the stability of the euro which is, of course, the common currency of the Eurozone, the European Union, all that's going on there. And when we were talking with Rob, he said that it's going to be a rough ride, some bumpy roads ahead, but he believed that indeed everything is going to come out for the better. What it's setting up is a call for global economic structures to prevent a worldwide financial crisis like that which is going on in Europe. In fact, is going on across the entire world. But as we think about this, this is actually a page out of Bible prophecy, a scenario that's unfolding. Economic crisis in Europe has the attention of the financial leaders around the world, fearing the possibility that a similar scenario could unfold in their own countries and even spreading, as I said, across the globe. Many economic experts are saying the euro, the common currency of Europe I mentioned, the euro, as we know it, is dead. Well, the jury's still out on that and survival of the euro, but the world is in a tough shape economically. And it is a page out of Bible prophecy. In the book of Revelation, the world dictator, better known as the Antichrist, will set up a world economic headquarters to control all buying and selling across the globe. The next event on God's calendar of activities will be the rapture of the church. Then the revived Roman Empire comes into position. This is Daniel chapter 7, verses 7 and 8. The little horn is the Antichrist. Chapter 9, verse 27 of Daniel, he establishes a peace, a pseudo-peace, howbeit a short-lived peace, and that's all in the discussion stages in the Middle East right now. Then these nations that will align themselves, a coalition of nations, and that would be the Arab Islamic nations that are surrounding Israel and want to wipe them off the face of the earth, led by nations like Iran, will attack. God will intercede. Again, Israel will not defend itself. The heavenlies will defend this Jewish state and the chosen people of God. There will be a temple that will be established, put up on the Temple Mount. Then we see that the Antichrist moves to Babylon. That's on the shores of the Euphrates River, just outside of downtown Baghdad. Revelation 18 talks about the economic governmental headquarters of the world headed by Antichrist. Antichrist will make everybody who wants to buy or sell take a identification mark in the forehead. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. You know, this scenario in Bible prophecy is going to play out. It's an absolute. Again, remember I said the next event is the rapture of the church. That can happen at any moment. Having said that, nothing left for me to say except let's keep looking up until